Hello, everyone. Welcome back to End Times Ambience. If you want to skip this brief introduction, check the comments below for the timestamp. Couple of announcements. End Times Ambience was recently reinstated into the YouTube partner program. So what that means is you're going to start seeing ads on the videos again. If you want early access to these videos and ad free, as well as a few exclusive ones that haven't got to YouTube yet, go over and join us. We'd love to have you over there. It's as little as $5 a month to join. Today's video was the fan poll winner over on Patreon and is actually the third installment in the Badger Creek series. So the first video was the Badger Creek incident. The second one was the Ironhold Island incidents. If you haven't seen those, I recommend going ahead and watching those before you see this, or you might get lost. So the Badger Creek series, as most of you know, are loosely based off of the Resident Evil games. The Badger Creek incident was based off of the Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. And Ironhold was based off Code Veronica. And this one is loosely based off of Resident Evil 4. So hopefully you enjoy it. Where we left off is Sam Spade was searching for his sister after escaping Ironhold. That's kind of where we pick up from here. So hope you enjoy it. One other note on this, the AI model I use for text-to-speech got an upgrade, and I actually think it's a downgrade because the voices seem a little bit choppy. I tried to fix it as best I could. Hopefully it's not too distracting. I'm going to see about if I can go back to that previous version for my future videos. One other note on the voices. This particular story takes place in Quebec region, and I understand that the accents I use in this would not be associated with that region at all. And I do apologize. I spent hours trying to find the correct type of accents that I could use, voices that would work, and I was unable to do so. So hopefully it's not too distracting. With all that being said, End Times Ambience proudly presents Les Fléaux, the Pointe-Au-Loup incident. Enjoy the show.
Good evening. For the third time now, I have been asked to raise the curtain on the Badger Creek series, and for the third time, I shall pretend this is a respectable way to spend an evening. The first tale took a town called Badger Creek. The second took an island. Tonight's takes a quiet little place in the snow that never asked to be remembered. 3 different maps, the very same ending, and still you came back. How loyal of you, how wonderfully morbid. Now, a brief word the lawyers insist upon. The voices you are about to hear are not people. They are conjured out of a machine, artificial to the last syllable. They are then told precisely what to say by human writers, who take full responsibility and rather too much pleasure in the saying. Any resemblance to real persons, living, dead, or somewhere regrettably in between, is entirely coincidental. The town you are about to visit is on no map. It never was. Do try to remember that. Afterward, enjoy the show.
I've done this twice before. That's a thing a man can say out loud and still not understand. I didn't the first time. My name's Sam. That's enough for now. It was a little after 4 in the morning, and I was somewhere north of the border, on a road that didn't have a number, just a direction. The heater in the truck had quit on me an hour before. I had a thermos gone cold and a name written on the back of a gas receipt in my coat. The name wasn't mine to say yet either. There was a town up ahead. You'd never have heard of it. About 3,000 people. A copper mine that shut down years back. A hockey rink. A church with a tin steeple. The kind of place that makes the news once in a lifetime. For something good or for something very bad. My sister was up there, somewhere. I hadn't seen her in 2 years. She'd left me away to find her, then she went quiet. I went to find her. If you're new to this, You need to know how we got here before the rest of it. There's a man on the network who tells it. He does it cleaner than I can. Listen to him. Not because he's right about everything. Listen, because the people in that town were about to live through all of it. Third time. I'll stop talking now. Let the man explain.
Good evening. A week from tomorrow, delegations from a dozen countries land in a Canadian town of under 4,000 people to sign the first joint outbreak agreement this continent has ever had. I'm Leon Redfield, and this is a Channel 7 special report. We're giving the hour to how we got there. It starts with two towns that aren't on the map anymore. 18 months ago, a town in Maine called Badger Creek stopped answering its phones. 30,000 people lived there. I anchored that coverage. By the morning of the third day, every one of those 30,000 was gone. Melanie Daniels was our field reporter. She called in from the parking lot at Mercy General a little after 11 that first night, and we stayed with her until almost 4 in the morning. She said the wards were full, the lights were going, and the staff had stopped saying the word patient. I was talking to her when she was killed. The government announced an industrial accident, a fire at a chemical storage site outside town. I read that statement on the air at noon the next day. What it confirmed later, under questioning, was a nuclear device set off at 6 in the morning to stop something spreading. The term the Defense Department used in its own filing was containment. 6 months after that, it happened again. Iron Hold Island, 10,000 people, a ferry community off the same coast, a different pathogen, the experts said, though the government has never named it out loud. The Navy ringed the island with gray ships and brought down the only bridge to the mainland at 3 in the morning, with families still trying to cross. A year on, Iron Hold is still sealed. Nobody has been allowed home. The official account of both places is the same. Two private drug companies, Aperture Pharmaceuticals at Badger Creek and Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals at Iron Hold, ran research they weren't equipped to contain. Both filed for bankruptcy inside a month, and their executives scattered to countries that don't send people back. That's the account on the record, and this network has reported it. Not everyone accepts it. A handful of independent reporters, and at least one scientist who worked inside the government's own laboratories, have spent the last year and a half saying these towns were never accidents. Ask what they can document, and you get a list. The official cause of both events reached the press before either investigation named a lead investigator. In each case, the responsible company dissolved before one executive testified under oath. They concede none of it is proof. What they won't let go of is how fast the paperwork moved. One of them is Dr. Nathan Roper, a federal pathogen specialist. He briefed the Senate Intelligence Committee twice, and then he went missing 14 months ago. This network still lists him as unaccounted for. We keep a list of the people this network sent into those two towns who didn't come back. Melanie Daniels is on it. So is the crew that went with her. The families of most of them are still waiting on a body to bury, and that's where the list has sat for a year. Now to the reason we're giving this an hour. A week from tomorrow, in a town in northern Quebec, the nations of this continent sit down at one table. They're calling it the North American Biosecurity Summit. It's the first thing resembling cooperation since Badger Creek. The town is Pointe-Au-Loup. Fewer than 4,000 residents, a copper mine shuttered since 2017, and an airstrip built for transporting mining ore that's been taking government aircraft daily for a month. A dozen delegations, and one rode in. What they're trying to sign is a single reporting standard. Under the draft, any member country that logs an unexplained cluster has to notify the others within 6 hours, with a shared laboratory network and a joint response force on standby. The organizers' phrase for it is a continental alarm bell. Health ministers, military liaisons, and public health directors from a dozen governments are already flying north. The United States is sending the president's son, Barrett Jackson, a senior director of biosecurity policy, will lead the American delegation in person. The White House says he asked for the assignment and that his detail has been kept deliberately small. The president's office calls it a gesture of good faith. There's a second operation 4 miles outside that town. A separate mine, reopened under a federal research contract to extract plant compounds for pharmaceutical work. It's the largest employer left in the district. The summit organizers say it has no connection to the conference. We asked the Defense Department who holds that contract, and were referred to the Canadian government. will carry the summit live from the town itself the morning it opens. Ethan Ashcroft and Mia Baker are already on their way north for us. From all of us at Channel 7, good night.
All right, you're back. I'm back. The coffee's terrible, and we're live. Welcome to Beyond the Veil. And if you just wandered over from the television, from that very tasteful hour Channel 7 just put on, kick your shoes off. Stay a while. We're going to talk about what they didn't. Now I'll give Leon Redfield this much. The man could read a room. He got the numbers right. 30,000 in Badger Creek, 9. 10,000 on Iron Hold, depending on who's counting and whether they bother counting the ones who are still on the bridge. Numbers are correct. It's the why I want to talk about tonight. An honest hour of television would have told you this, and it didn't. 2 towns, 2 outbreaks, and 2 official stories that showed up done. I mean, finished, typed up, and handed to the press before the fires were even cold. In both towns, the company that supposedly did it went bankrupt and vanished before one executive ever sat in front of one microphone. You ever clean a mess that fast? Me neither. I've got something in front of me here. Hang on. This is the bankruptcy filing for Aperture Pharmaceuticals, the Badger Creek outfit, page 11. It lists a parent holding company, and the address for that parent is a post office box in Virginia. Same box, word for word, that turns up on the Iron Hold paperwork for a totally different company, different name on the door, same mailbox. And before somebody emails me, yes, I know, a shared mailbox is not a smoking gun. Had a fella write in last week, real polite, said, Roger, plenty of companies use the same registered agent. That's just how incorporation works. Fair, but registered agents have names, and this one doesn't. This one's a box that took in certified mail from the Department of Defense twice, which I can document. So you tell me what kind of aspirin company gets certified letters from the Pentagon? Either 2 rival drug companies that never worked together, that never even admitted knowing each other, just happened to share one mailbox in one building in one state. Or somebody owned them both and ran them through a single address, and if one hand held both companies, then Badger Creek and Iron Hold came off the same hand too. The same hand, twice. And now the part I've been chewing on all month, and I want you to lean in close for it. These towns weren't unlucky. Somebody's running an experiment. The same experiment over and over. On little places nobody powerful will miss, and dressing the cleanup up as an accident every single time. I can't prove the last inch of it yet, but I'm close. I've got a source. Somebody who was on the inside is sending me paper, and the day it lands, you'll hear it here first. There's one more thing Redfield let slip tonight, almost in passing, and I want to pull it back out. He read a name off his list of the missing. Dr. Nathan Roper, federal scientist, gone over a year now. The network says missing. I think the man chose to vanish. I think he's hiding because he's the one holding the paper, and you don't hide that clean by accident. That's all I'll say about him tonight. Which brings me to why I actually turned the mic on tonight. This summit, this beautiful, hopeful little summit up in a town in Quebec you couldn't have found on a map last Tuesday, Pointe-Au-Loup. They're flying the president's son up there to shake hands and cut a ribbon, and the whole press corps is going to coo about cooperation. I want one thing from you. Watch who comes with him, not the diplomats, the other ones. The trucks with no logo on the door. The people who fly in on a goodwill mission and bring containment gear in the hold. You ask yourself why a peace conference needs a research mine 4 miles out of town burning its lights all night long. I've seen this hand before. It does its best work while everybody's watching the ribbon. So stay sharp up there, Pointe-Au-Loup. I mean that. I really do.
I'd been on that ridge 3 months, long enough to know which house turned its kitchen light on first. The blue one, near the rink. A widower, I think. He was down there that morning, putting his coffee on, and he had no idea it was the last good morning he'd get. I'd come there following a thread I'd found in Site Alpha. In the cold, when I pulled the papers out of that place, the thread ran a long way north, and then it stopped. It stopped at a mine 4 miles out of a town nobody thinks about. The town was pretty that morning. I'll give it that. They'd strung banners across the main street for the summit, blue and white, snapping in the wind. There was a stage going up outside the old mine office. Somebody had spent money that place didn't have to make it look like a place that mattered. And then there was the other site, the research mine, 4 miles out past the tree line, where the road turned to gravel and the signs started telling you to keep off. Nobody in town talked about it. The lights burned out there all night, every night, and the trucks came and went on no schedule a real operation would keep. I knew what was in that mine. I'd been close enough to be sure. My brother was coming. Sam, I'd left him a frequency and a place. He'd already been through 2 of these. Badger Creek made him. An iron hold nearly finished him. This was the worst of the 3, and I was the one who left the door open for him.
Good morning, and welcome to a Channel 7 special report, live from Pointe-Au-Loup. I'm Ethan Ashcroft. We brought a crew a long way north for this one. It's the first good news story this network has sent me to cover in 2 years. This is how the day runs. By noon, delegations from a dozen countries will be on the ground for the North American Biosecurity Summit. After Badger Creek, after Ironhold, the idea is that the nations of this continent finally sit at one table. They settle on how to face the next outbreak together, instead of each behind its own door. And they chose to do it here, in a town of 3,000 that most of the delegates couldn't have found on a map a year ago. The official word is that Pointe-Au-Loup was picked as a symbol, a place the world forgot, brought back into the light. The lodge out at the old mine office is ready. Flags are up, and sometime after midday, the President of the United States is sending us her own son, here to Pointe-Au-Loup. Our Mia Baker is down on Main Street, where I'm told you can't buy a parking spot for love nor money. Mia, good morning.
From the south end of Main Street, 8:40 this morning, and the locals keep telling me they've never seen this street so full. The diner is turning people away at the door. There's a man selling little paper flags out of a wagon, $2 each, and he's already sold out once and gone home for more. A couple of kids have climbed up on the war memorial to see over the crowd, just having a fun time. Mayor Moreau is right here with me. Madam Mayor, you've got a whole town at your back this morning.
Oh, the whole town and then some. I've got Gaudias here who moved to Montreal 15 years back and drove all night to be home for this. You have to understand what this is for us. When the mine shut, we lost half our young people in 2 winters. And today the world wants to come to Pointe-Au-Loup. Today we matter again.
Some folks credit the new workout at the old mine for keeping families here. Is that fair to say?
The compound contract. Yes. It put 40 paychecks back in this town when we had none. I couldn't tell you the first thing about what they pull out of that ground. And I've stopped asking. When you're drowning, you don't interview the rope. Today is not a day for hard questions. Today we put on our good coats.
She's been hugging people all morning, Ethan. Going to let her get back to it. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Mia. Joining me now is the man who runs medicine in this town, the one they all seem to know by his first name, Dr. Forrest Spire, Chief of Medicine here at the Pointe-Au-Loup Hospital. Forrest, thank you for joining us.
Well, they made me dig out the good time for the cameras, so here we are. Now, people keep asking me if the hospital's ready for all these visitors, and I tell them, We've got 18 beds and a very good coffee machine. So here's my one piece of medical advice for our distinguished guests. Nobody be a hero out on the ice this week.
We'll hold you to that, Forrest. Now, a moment a lot of you have been waiting for came just before we went on air. The American delegation touched down at the airstrip a little after 11. The president's son spoke for a minute on the tarmac, and we have it for you now.
Thank you. It's good to be here. It's good to be here in Pointe-Au-Loup. My mother asked me to tell you she sends her regards and that she's a little jealous I drew the better assignment. We came a long way to say a simple thing. No town should ever have to face its worst day alone again.
You can hear the airstrip wind on that tape. He sounded tired to me. A long flight, and a great deal resting on the one set of shoulders. But that last line of his is the whole reason these people came so far north. That's the pledge on the table at the lodge this week. And the president sending her own son to say it in person is how the Americans are signing their name to it. We're glad he's here all the same. Handling security for all of this is the Pointe-Au-Loup RCMP detachment. Constable David Cohen is on the line. David, that's a busy morning for 6 officers and a summit.
Busier than a detachment is used to, Ethan. But we're managing. The Sûreté sent us extra hands up from Kuujjuaq, and the federal side brought their own people. Only the American teams aren't running their movements past us. Not at all. There were a couple of trucks out of the research mine this morning, came straight up the parade route and didn't stop for anybody. I waved one down and the driver wouldn't put his window down. I'm sure it's nothing. Procedures.
So there it is. The biggest morning this town has ever seen, and it's only half done. A dozen nations came to a played-out mining town at the top of the map to make each other one promise. The one the president's son put so plainly on the tarmac. And of all the places on the map they could have made it, they made it here. We'll be back on Channel 7 after this with the ribbon cutting at the lodge, live, and Mia will have more from a Main Street that, by the sound of it, isn't going home anytime soon. Live from Pointe-Au-Loup, I'm Ethan Ashcroft. What a day!
Let me read you something before we all go out into this big day. It's short. From the letter to the Hebrews, do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing so, some have entertained angels without knowing it. Hospitality. We hear the word and we picture a clean guest room, a pot of coffee on. But I've watched this town do the harder kind the whole time I've been here. The man who wrote that letter meant you open the door before you know who's standing on the other side of it. He was writing to people who were tired and poor and afraid, and he told them to open it anyway. And here we are. This morning, our little town is throwing its doors open to the whole world. People are flying in from countries I've only ever seen on the weather map. The Bouchards have paying guests in their spare room tonight. First time in years. I drove past the lodge this morning and had to stop the truck a minute. Pointe-Au-Loup on the television. I keep thinking about the hard winters, back when I was new here. I barely spoke the French, and I was sure this parish would empty out by spring. It never did. The Dolans had us all into their kitchen one Christmas when the church furnace gave out, and we sang in our coats and nobody complained. That's this town. It keeps the door open even when the heat's gone out. So I want to bless this. I do. I want to bless the hands that built that stage and the women who've been baking since Thursday. I want to bless the visitors, every one, the ones we'll take to and the ones we won't, because this is what I believe with my whole heart. Christ comes to us as the stranger. When you open your door, you open it to him. Some of you know I get nervous about the world's attention. It has not always been kind to small places, but I prayed on it, and I've decided to trust that God sends strangers to a lonely town for a reason, and the reason is mercy. Maybe he sends them so we remember we were never as alone as we felt. We haven't had many good days lately. I know that. I've buried more of you than I've married these last years. So when a good day comes, you don't squint at it. You let it be good. You say thank you. God's in a good day the same as he's in a hard one. And this one is good. All I'll ask of you is this. Be kind to the strangers in our streets today, the important ones and the ones carrying their own bags. Look in on old Madame Tremblay, who won't come down to the crowd but will want to hear every bit of it. And say a prayer for the visitors, that they get home safe to the people who love them. Let us pray. Lord, thank you for this strange and wonderful day in a town you have not forgotten. Bless the stranger at our door. Bless the town that opened it. Keep them all, the ones we know and the ones we're about to meet, under your hand. Amen. Now go on. Go enjoy your day.
A few hours short of the town by then. Land up there doesn't believe in people. Black spruce, then rock, then more black spruce. You drove an hour, and the only thing that had changed was the number on the odometer. I wasn't thinking about any summit. I was thinking about my sister, somewhere at the end of that road. The last time I tried to reach Jill was Ironhole, and I never got to her at all. She was the reason I went. They'd taken her months before, overseas, and held her somewhere I couldn't reach. The trail finally pointed me to that island. By the time I fought my way onto it, she was already gone. She'd already gotten out ahead of me and run north. I stood in an empty cell while the place came apart around me, and I barely got back off that island alive. 9,000 people didn't. The last I ever heard her voice was a transmission, a few days after. She'd made it out. She was somewhere in the far north, hurt, frostbit. Sure she was being followed. And she sounded happy. She'd found the files. She said there was another town coming, another test, and she meant to get to it first and blow it open. She'd armed a dead man's switch, everything she had set to go public if she ever went quiet. Then she told me not to come looking for her. She said it twice. I mean it this time, Sam. She never called me in. All that time and nothing but silence. And a dead man's switch that never tripped, which told me she was still alive out there, still moving. She left me one thing before she went dark, a frequency, and a place to be if it ever came to that. Insurance, not an invitation. So I did the one thing she told me never to do. I took it. The place was a town I'd never heard of, at the top of the map, Pointe-Au-Loup. Somewhere on that last stretch, the radio started talking. Quebec emergency bands, the provincial channels, calm at first, a dispatcher on a slow night. Then more voices, faster, climbing over each other. My French is bad, and the signal was worse, so I didn't have the words, but I knew the shape of that sound. I'd heard it twice before. It was starting, and my sister was already down inside it. I put my foot to the floor.
we're going to interrupt your regular programming. This is Ethan Ashcroft, back at the Channel 7 desk. We don't have a clear picture, and I'm not going to stand here and pretend that we do. Something has happened out at the Summit Lodge. Here is what we can confirm at this hour. Just after 7 this evening, emergency calls began coming from the lodge out at the mine office. The RCMP responded. The lodge is being evacuated. Past that, what's reaching us is confused, and some of it contradicts the rest. I'd sooner tell you it's confused than tell you something wrong. Mia Baker has been out near the lodge since the first calls. Mia, what can you see?
Ethan, I'm on the access road, maybe 100 yards back. They won't let us closer. There's 6, 7 emergency vehicles. There's smoke off the north end of the lodge, not heavy, gray. People are coming out the front in a hurry. Some of them are being carried out. This is all happening very fast, and I'm getting conflicting reports. A man in a Summit lanyard told me armed men came in and took someone, that it was professional, that it was a kidnapping. Then a woman, a caterer, she wasn't talking about guns at all. She kept saying they were biting, that a whole knot of people in the lobby turned at the same moment and moved off together the same way, humming. She said one of them was the Lacroix, a kid she's known his whole life, and he walked right past her and looked at her like a stranger. None of this is confirmed. I am reporting what I'm being told. What everybody agrees on is this. Barrett Jackson isn't accounted for. The president's son, he was at the reception and now nobody can produce him, and the American security people won't answer a single question. There's a helicopter coming in low from the south. I don't know whose it is.
Mia, hold on. I'm being handed something. The American delegation has released a single line. It reads, "The United States is aware of an incident in Pointe-Au-Loup and has no further comment at this time." That's all they've given us. Their own man missing. Mia, stay back from that cordon, please. Stay where it's safe and keep talking to us. We've got Constable David Cohen of the RCMP on the line, the same David who told us this morning it would be a long day. David, what can you tell the town?
Ethan, I can't give you much, and I won't guess at the rest. We have a major incident at the lodge. We've requested provincial and federal assistance and a medical surge. That's the language for it. Off the language, I've got 6 officers, and I have never. We trained for a drunk driver and a fight outside the tavern. Not this. One thing. Then I have to go. Some of the injured coming out of there have wounds I can't square with a kidnapping. Bites. Human bites, by the look of them. And some of the people we're trying to help are fighting us hard, like they've never seen us before. One of them quit fighting all at once. She turned to a car alarm down the block and said a name out loud in her own voice, but flat, like it didn't mean anybody. I don't know what to make of that, and I have to go. Ethan.
Go, David, go. Mayor Annette Moreau is with us by phone. Annette, Madame Mayor, what do we tell people?
Ethan, I don't know. I was at that reception an hour ago. I shook that boy's hand. People are calling me asking if they should run, and I haven't got an answer for them. Stay inside. Lock your doors. That's the best I have tonight. I'm going to the hospital. They need.
Dr. Speyer is at Pointe-Au-Loup General, where the first patients from the lodge are arriving now. Forrest, what can you tell us?
It's not a joke now, Ethan. We've taken in 9 so far. Bite wounds. Mostly. Deep ones. To the arms and the necks. That part I can treat. What I can't explain is the state they come in. A fever climbing too fast, and an agitation I don't have a word for. One man came in calm. Talked to me, knew his own name. 20 minutes later, he didn't know mine. And he went for the nurse who was helping him. And I lost a patient on the table 10 minutes ago. Flatline, gone, and then he sat back up. I've called the poison center and the CDC line, and nobody's answering. I need to get back. Tell people to stay clear of anyone acting hurt and angry, and tell them a bite is not a small thing tonight.
Forrest, thank you. If you're only now hearing this, stay inside, lock your doors, and keep it on Channel 7. Don't go out to look. Don't go toward the lodge. Pointe-Au-Loup. Hold on. It's a little after 1 in the morning here, and we're going to bring you something now from Washington. The President of the United States is about to speak from the White House. Her son was in our lodge tonight. We're carrying her remarks in full. Here is President Marlene Jackson.
My fellow Americans, tonight I speak to you not only as your president, but as a mother. A few hours ago, at a summit meant to bring our nations closer together in safety, there was a violent attack in the town of Pointe-Au-Loup, Quebec. Canadian and American personnel are responding. Lives were lost tonight. I will not pretend otherwise to you. The full resources of our government are committed to this. I have spoken within the hour with the Prime Minister of Canada, and our two nations are acting as one tonight, without daylight between us. Federal medical and security teams are on the site. The summit is suspended. Everything that carried us to that table, the hope of facing the next disaster together, is being tested tonight by this one. Among those unaccounted for tonight is my son, Barrett. He traveled to that summit as a private citizen and a public servant to carry one simple promise, that no community should ever face catastrophe alone. I am told the effort to find him and to secure the others is underway at this hour. Am being kept informed, as any family would wish to be. And I am asking of you the one thing I cannot ask of myself tonight. Stay calm. To the government and the people of Canada, you have our gratitude and our sorrow. This happened on your soil, to your neighbors, and you did not hesitate. I'm going to be asked tonight what this was, and the truth is, I don't yet know. A mother who doesn't know is a dangerous thing to put behind a podium. So I'll ask only this: pray for the people of that small town who opened their doors to the world this morning. To the families of every American who traveled to that summit, my office is reaching you directly tonight. You will not learn your news from a television screen. You have my word on that much. I know you want more than I have given you tonight. So do I. The moment I can stand before you with answers instead of fear, I will. Tonight I have a nation to steady and a son somewhere in the cold, and I am holding on to both with everything I have. I will not be taking questions. God bless the lost. God bless Canada. And God bless the United States of America.
That was President Marlene Jackson from the White House, a little after 1 our time. You'll notice there was no mention there of what some of you saw with your own eyes tonight, only a kidnapping and a mother's fear. We'll have more from right here in Pointe-Au-Loup after this. Stay close.
I watched it happen from up there. 7 o'clock, the lodge lights, and then the lights doing the thing they do when the people inside are running. I wasn't surprised. I'd known for weeks they meant to take someone out of that summit. I didn't know it'd be the president's son. I'll give them that. They reached higher than I thought they had the nerve for. But the taking itself, the timing, the way the sickness went off in the same room at the same hour, that was always the plan. The kidnapping was the magic trick. The other thing was what they hid in the other hand. What I could tell you by then was this, that mine past the trees had stopped being a mine a long time before. It was a garden. Somebody had been growing something down in the dark for years and tending it, and the ones who did the tending had stopped being people somewhere along the way, not dead. Worse than that. I don't have a kinder way to put it. I told Sam, over the channel, not to come into the town, to come up the East Ridge to me. The way I'd shown him, the town was already gone. It just hadn't been told yet. There was frost on everything down there. On the swings in the schoolyard. On a tricycle somebody had left out in the driveway. But the town wasn't quiet. The sirens had started an hour before and didn't stop. There was screaming under them. And under that, already, a sound like the whole place humming to itself. Badger Creek went out screaming. This one was learning a different noise. Then I started moving down the back slope toward the garden because that was where the answer was, and the answer was the only thing I'd come all that way for.
It's 4:19 in the morning. If you're just waking up to this, I'd give a great deal to be the one telling you it was a bad dream. It isn't. This is Ethan Ashcroft. Here's where the night has brought us. The lodge is contained. They keep telling us. The hospital is not. All night, more people have come in hurt from the lodge and from the streets around it. The ones who were hurt earlier are not getting better. Some are getting worse in a way our own doctor will have to describe, because I can't. Mia Baker has been outside Pointe-Au-Loup General for 3 hours now. Mia, how is it out there?
Cold and very quiet. There's a row of trucks that came in and never left. Families waiting inside with the heaters running. I've been with the Pelletiers in one of them. Their grandfather Gil greeted people at the lodge on Saturday, 81 and full of jokes, and tonight he came in with a bite on his hand. A nurse sent him back out to the truck, and the family won't leave him. And behind the paper they've taped over the East Wing windows, it has changed in the last hour. For most of the night it was screaming and bodies hitting the doors. Now it's flat voices, saying names like words read off a list, all out of time with each other, and somehow that's more disturbing. A group of them has come out into the road up the block, just standing, not moving right. Ethan, hold on. It's Gil's. It's happening at the truck. He took a fever, and now he's fighting them, snapping at his own son's hands, all teeth and no sense. That is what it does first, and then it just lets go of him. He's gone still, sitting up with his eyes open, looking at his own granddaughter like she's a coat rack. And now he's out of the truck, walking to the others up the block. The ones from the hospital, they opened up and closed back around him like a body taking a stitch. They're all making that low sound together, and I can hear Gil in it. I have to put the phone down and get that girl out of the road.
Mia, get the girl and get behind a door. Come back when you can. That was Gil Pelletier, and a lot of you know him. Dr. Spire is on a phone for us between patients. Forrest, tell the town what you're seeing. Plainly. They can take it from you.
We have a sickness here that moves through a bite, and it comes in 2 turns. First the fever, and the confusion, and then they stop knowing you, and they turn violent. Rabies does a piece of that, and this is not rabies, but it's the second turn that frightens me. The violent ones don't stay violent. They go quiet. They go still and empty, and then they get up and move together, like they're all listening to the same thing. And now the I can't explain. And I've decided you deserve it straight. Twice tonight. A patient's heart stopped. No pulse. No breath. By every test I've got in this building. And then, a few minutes on, they moved. They sat up. I know what a dead man is. I've been sure of it every day of my life. And tonight I was wrong about it twice.
Forrest, we'll let you go. A day ago, I'd never have done this on my own station. There's a man, an independent broadcaster named Roger Thornhill, who spent 2 years warning about exactly this, and most of us in the business laughed at him. A clip of his is moving around town tonight, phone to phone. I've listened to it. I'll play you a piece, and you can judge it for yourself.
If you're in that town tonight, listen to me. What's in your hospital is not a flu, and it is not a chemical spill, no matter what kind soul from the government tells you at sunrise. I've seen the paper on 2 towns just like yours. They will hand you a story, they'll hand it to you fast, and that story will have a number in it, and the number will be a lie. Trust the people standing next to you, and don't trust a soul who flew in wearing a badge and a calm voice. The calm ones are the ones who knew.
I don't know if that man is right. A day ago, I'd have told you he was a crank. Tonight, I played him on my own station, and you can hold that against me later. Constable Cohen, you called for help many hours ago. Where is it?
That's the question I've been asking up the chain all night. Provincial says resources are being staged. Federal says the same word, staged. Nobody will give me a time. I had a colonel on the line an hour ago who spent 10 minutes not answering me. And when I pushed, he told me to secure my officers and hold position, in my own town.
Mayor Moreau is with us. Annette, people need to hear your voice right now.
I've been at the hospital since 1 o'clock. I won't lie to my own people. You've never known me to. It's bad. But running into the dark in a panic is how more of us get hurt. So I'm begging you, please, stay home, lock the door, hold your children close. Help is coming. I have to believe help is coming.
The sky is going to start turning gray in about an hour. Stay inside and stay with us. We're not going to look away from this, whatever it turns out to be.
This is Rebecca Valentine. I was the primary anchor at Channel 7 during the Iron Hold coverage, and 6 months ago I left the network over a story they refused to run. Tonight I'm recording from my kitchen table because what that story warned about is happening for a third time in a Canadian town called Pointe-Au-Loup. Here is what the public record shows as of 4 a.m. Eastern. A violent incident at the Biosecurity Summit Lodge last night. The president's son, Barrett Jackson, taken from the building during the attack. Multiple witnesses describing people attacking each other inside the lobby, and the town's hospital filling through the night with bite casualties from the lodge and the streets around it. Every federal briefing I've read tonight leads with the kidnapping. I am not disputing that Barrett Jackson was taken. He was, and it matters. But the hospital, the bite victims, the patients who aren't recovering, all of it gets folded under the kidnapping as though the two are connected. Those are two separate events. A kidnapping doesn't fill a hospital. I have a source inside Pointe-Au-Loup General Hospital. What they're describing matches the first night at Mercy General in Badger Creek, down to the detail. Bite wounds that don't respond to treatment, a fever that moves into aggression, patients whose vital signs went to zero and who then sat up and moved. The town's chief of medicine, Dr. Forrest Spire, confirmed that on the local broadcast tonight. 2 cardiac deaths followed by movement. He said it on the air, under his own name, in front of his own community. No federal agency has responded to what he described, and no federal medical team has reached Pointe-Au-Loup. Badger Creek was 30,000 people in rural Maine, one highway out. The outbreak hit the hospital in hours. Federal response came after the government had already detonated a nuclear device and called it a chemical fire. Iron Hold was 10,000 people on an island off the same coast, one bridge. Hospital overwhelmed. Federal help staged within 2 hours of the first report, then held in position for 6 more while the island died. Pointe-Au-Loup is 4,000 people in northern Quebec, one road, and tonight the hospital is full, and the airstrip that took government flights all month is sitting dark. The response delay is the pattern, and the pattern is now 3 for 3. These are agencies that move combat brigades across oceans in days. Pointe-Au-Loup has a working airstrip that handled government flights every day this month for the summit. And the town's RCMP constable told the local broadcast tonight that he spent all night asking for a timeline, and a colonel told him to secure his officers and hold position. Hold position in a town where people are being bitten in the streets. 3 outbreaks in 18 months. 3 small, isolated communities, each one with limited outside communication and one way in or out. A town, an island off the coast, a mining town in northern Quebec. Roger Thornhill has been saying this for 2 years, and most of us in the press laughed at him for it. I don't have his sources, and I'm not going to hand you a conspiracy tonight. I have the pattern and a set of incorporation records for 2 of the 3 companies that don't line up with the dates we were given. And I have a hospital in Quebec filling exactly the way Mercy General filled in Badger Creek. When I have the rest confirmed, I'll bring it here. A doctor in that town went on his own local station tonight in front of his own community. and told them what was happening in his hospital when nobody else would. His name is Dr. Forrest Spire, Chief of Medicine at Pointe-Au-Loup General. I'm going to follow up on what he reported. I'll be recording through the night. If you're in Pointe-Au-Loup and you can hear this, reach out on any channel. This is the Valentine Files.
I made the ridge before first light. Left the truck a mile back under some spruce and went up on foot. The way she taught me when we were kids. We didn't do the reunion. We didn't get to. You hold a person too long up there and you both come apart. And there's no time to put either of you back together. So she gripped my arm once, hard. And then she put a scope in my hand and showed me the town. It was down there in the dark, all of it. The rink, the steeple, the main street with the banners still up from the day before. Through the scope it wasn't still, though. The house was burning on the south end with nobody fighting it. And there were figures in the streets that moved too smooth, all drifting the same direction. 4 miles past it, the mine lit up like a thing that never sleeps. She let me look, and she told me the part she'd been holding back. There was a man named Carlos Burnside. Jill knew him from Iron Hold, facility security. But a good man. When that island went down, he found her lost in the lower levels and got her most of the way out. She made the surface on her own. He didn't make it at all. He took a bite holding the tunnel so she could run. Now she was telling me the cult had dug what was left of him out of that island, brought it up here, and made it into something else. Something that worked for them now. The man who got her out wasn't really in there anymore. I didn't know what to do with any of that yet. And then she told me about the people. Flat. The way she said a thing she needed me to take seriously. The sick ones up here didn't just come at you. They kept their faces, their voices. She'd watched the town's own people go over and stand in the road, humming as one, saying each other's names with nothing behind the words. The worst of it, she said, wasn't the dead getting up. It was knowing every face in the crowd. I didn't say anything for a second. Then I said the thing you say, that it was shock, that people in a panic don't look like themselves to each other in the dark, that a sickness is a sickness, and it doesn't turn a whole town into one body. She just looked at me. She said, "You don't believe me yet. That's all right. You will." We had maybe an hour of dark. She was going down to the garden alone, because that's how she works, and I'd learned not to argue. I'd hold the ridge and watch the town she said was already dead, and I'd try not to listen too hard to the wind.
It's 20 past 2 in the afternoon, the second day. I haven't been to my hotel room. Most of you haven't slept either. I expect. I'm going to keep this simple. The situation at Pointe-Au-Loup General has changed in the last 20 minutes, and not in a way anybody wants to hear. Dr. Spire has kept the phone line open to this desk for the last hour. We've been staying out of his way and letting him work. Before we go to him, Mia Baker is still outside the hospital. Mia, something is happening where you are.
Ethan, the front doors just opened and they're not bringing anyone in. They're coming out. Staff in their scrubs, running. There's a nurse sitting down in the parking lot who won't get up, and nobody is stopping for her. I can hear it from here now, inside. It's that flat talking, but it's a whole building of them at once, with the low hum running under it, and behind that, a noise like furniture going over. The Pelletiers got out of their truck. I don't know where they went.
Forrest, you're still with us. Talk to me. What's happening in there?
I'm in the records room on the second floor, Ethan. I've got the door braced with a filing cabinet. I'll keep talking as long as it's useful to somebody. The ward went over about 10 minutes ago. The ones who passed in the night, the ones we covered up, they're the ones who started it. They got up together, almost like a bell rang that only they could hear. First they're violent. They attack anyone around them, and then suddenly they're calm, almost normal. I've never seen anything like it. I don't know how this thing is transmitted, because even people around the calm ones seem to get it eventually. I lost 2 nurses I trained myself. I won't say their names on the air. Their families don't know yet, and they shouldn't learn it this way. We did everything right, and it didn't matter. The bites turn you in minutes now, not hours. It's faster than last night. There's a sound at this door now. Not banging. They don't bang. They gather. The whole ward of them out in that hall, humming the one note. And one of them is saying my name. It's Sylvie, my head nurse, 30 years. Dr. Spire, Dr. Spire. Flat, like she's reading it off the office door. And there's nobody in there. It's her voice, her mouth, and Sylvie is gone. This part I want on the record, while I can still think straight. I've doctored these people their whole lives. Sylvie, the Tremblay boy with the bad lungs, old Rio from the hardware store. They're all out in my hallway now, standing the same way, facing the same way, and not one of them is home. This thing doesn't kill you and move on. It wears you. It keeps your face and your voice and walks you around in front of the people who love you. These aren't strangers at my door. They're us. I'm not opening this door. That's the last bit of doctoring I've got left. Ethan, tell this town I was proud to be their doctor. Tell them to stay out of the hospitals, every one, and tell them the hard part, so they don't do what I almost did. When your own people come to your door, the ones who've gone over, they'll have the right face and the right voice, and you will want to open it. Don't. It isn't them. And tell them the visitors were carrying it that first night, and somebody knew.
Forrest, are you there? The line's gone. We've lost the line to Dr. Spire. Forrest Spire set this town's broken bones for 30 years. I'm not going to eulogize him at 2:30 with the thing still happening. He'd tell me to get on with it. I've also got a statement that came in while he was talking, and I'm going to read it to you exactly. From the Joint Task Force. It reads, "The public health situation in Pointe-Au-Loup remains contained, and there is no cause for wider alarm." Contained. I just listened to my friend say goodbye through a door he was holding shut with a filing cabinet. I'm reading you their word anyway, so you can hold it up next to what you just heard with your own ears. Mayor Moreau is on the line. Annette, what are we doing?
I've signed an evacuation order. I'm telling you so it's on the record that I did it. And the truth, right behind it. I've got no way to carry it out. No buses. The airstrip's shut. The one road south runs right past the lodge. And I've got people too sick to move and nobody left to move them. I signed a piece of paper. That's all an order is, when you're us.
Constable Cohen, tell them where the RCMP stands right now.
The detachment's overrun. We lost the station house an hour ago. I've got 3 officers I can still account for. And we're trying to walk civilians up to the high ground by the rink. Still no federal. Still no provincial. I stopped asking. There's nobody coming. And the people listening need to plan like there's nobody coming.
There it is. The doctor's gone. The hospital's gone. The help that was promised is not on the way. And we're now hearing reports from all over town that this thing is everywhere. Reports are initially this sickness makes you violent, lashing out at those around you, biting. Then you seem calm but different. Don't interact with anyone who has been in proximity to these sick people. If you can get to high ground, go now, in daylight, while you can still see what's around you. Keep this radio on. I'll be here as long as there's a here. It's just past 6 in the evening. The president is going to speak to her nation again in a moment, her second time since this began. I'm carrying it so you can hear what she says and what she doesn't. Here is President Marlene Jackson.
My fellow Americans, good evening. I come back to you sooner than I had hoped because the situation in Pointe-Au-Loup has grown more serious through the day. I want to be measured with you and honest within the limits of what I am able to confirm. This is a public health emergency. It is being managed jointly by Canadian and American authorities, and the finest people our two countries have are on the ground tonight. Your government has not waited. I have authorized every federal asset that can be useful and lawful on foreign soil. Our medical corps is coordinating with Canadian health authorities. A joint task force is holding a perimeter around the town to keep this from reaching other communities. I have spoken 3 times today with the Prime Minister, and I will speak with him again before midnight. No one is acting alone. I know there are frightening accounts coming out of that town. I have seen them too. I'd ask you to hold them lightly until they can be verified through the proper channels, because unconfirmed reports help no one, and they can do real harm. What I can confirm is this. The area is being secured. Medical teams are working, and the search for my son goes on with everything we have. To the families waiting on word tonight, American and Canadian both, I have ordered that you be contacted personally and kept contacted. You will not be left to a news ticker. That is a promise I can keep, so I am keeping it out loud. Somewhere in that cold tonight is a young man who used to fall asleep in the back of cabinet cars. He went north to make a promise that no town would ever suffer alone. I am his mother, and I am asking a whole country to pray for a boy I cannot reach. To the people of Canada, our debt to you grows by the hour. To my own citizens, stay where you are safe, follow the guidance of your local authorities, and do not travel toward the affected area for any reason. We will come through this the way we have come through hard things before, together and telling each other the truth. Good night, and God bless you all.
That was the President of the United States. She used the words public health emergency. She didn't use the word our own doctor used. An hour ago, before his line went dead. I'll let you sit with the distance between those two broadcasts. This is Channel 7.
By the second night, I'd come down off the ridge and into the town, the edge of it, where the houses give up and the bush takes over. It was not empty in there. There were people in the streets, what used to be people, more of them every block, and a hum coming off them that got into your teeth. I kept to the dark and the downwind, and I didn't make a sound they'd know. I'd watched them up close by then. They don't hunt with their eyes, not mainly. They turn toward sound, all of them at once, the whole street leaning the same way, like plants leaning at a window, and they keep drifting back to the places they knew, their own porches, their own front steps, standing there humming, like the body remembers a home the person inside had already left. One night, I heard a child crying off in one of the houses, a real child's cry, and I stood in a frozen garden and made myself not go to it. because by then I'd seen the children who'd gone over, standing in with the rest, humming, and from the street I couldn't tell which this was, a living child, or one of theirs, crying in a voice that didn't know it was crying. That's what that place did to you. It made you afraid of a child. This was what I'd put together in 3 months on that ridge. The mine had been there long before the outbreak. The cult had been down in the drifts growing the thing in the dark for years, tending it like a crop. And the people who should have stopped them, the federal program that owns the paperwork, didn't. They watched. They let it ripen. There was a name I hadn't said out loud yet. Roper. Dr. Nathan Roper. The man the whole world buried a year before. He'd found me 3 months back on a dead frequency, and he was the one who pointed me there. He said, "You've been hunting the company. The company was always the government. Start at the garden." So there were 3 of us pulling at it. Me from the inside, my brother from that ridge, and Roper, somewhere out in the world, coming at the same truth from the far side of it. We'd never stood in one room. We never did. But the 3 of us put it together before that town was all the way gone.
It's coming on dark again, the second night. We're boarding up the windows here at the station. Marcel from the hardware store is screwing plywood over the front office glass while I talk to you. We're not leaving the air. The reports continue to pile in of attacks through the city. Reports are also coming in of groups of people just standing in the street, staring with blank eyes. We still have no idea what is going on, and we're not going to pretend we do. Mia Baker is still out there, and I've been trying to get her to come in for an hour. Mia, where are you? And please tell me you're somewhere with a door.
I'm behind the church, Ethan. I've been talking to people all day. The ones still themselves, and a few who aren't, from a distance. On the way here, I passed one of the fallen. One that wasn't getting back up. The back of its skull had come open, and something pale was working its way out of it, slow and still moving. I didn't stay to look. You start to hear the pattern in all this after a while. It moves through a bite. Up the street, a man is standing at his own front door, knocking, and saying, "It's me, let me in this gentle voice. And his wife was at the window with her hand flat on the glass, and she knew, you could see she knew, and she wanted to open it anyway. Sorry, I need to go help this family."
Okay, Mia, check in soon. Folks, the mayor has asked for a few minutes. She's at the town hall, and I'm told she would not leave it. Annette, the town's listening.
I'm in my office at the hall, where I've sat for 11 years, and I'm going to stay in it. People keep telling me to go up to the rink with the others. I won't. There are 40 souls in this building who can't be moved, down in the basement, the old and the sick, and the woman who looks after them won't leave. So I won't either. A few things, while I can. Madame Levesque, your bread kept this town fed through worse than you ever knew. The Gautier boys. You came home for the right reason and the wrong day. And I'm so sorry, all of you. Whatever you've heard about voices in the dark, do not answer them. I heard my husband tonight, gone 9 years, and I almost went to the window. I'm not as afraid as I thought I'd be. I'm the mayor of Pointe-Au-Loup. That meant something on a good day. And it's going to mean something tonight. Tell the world we were a real place. Tell them we had a hockey team and a choir and a doctor who stayed. Don't let them write us down as a number. Goodbye, Ethan. Take care of my town's voice.
Annette? I've known that woman 3 days. It feels like a great deal longer. I'll leave her line open, in case, and I'll keep going. Something came to the station an hour ago. A recording, sent to our newsroom from an address with no name on it. The man on it says he's Dr. Nathan Roper, the federal scientist the whole country has on its missing list. I can't prove it's him, but you should hear it and decide for yourselves.
If you're hearing this, then you're the local broadcast and you're still on the air, which means there's still time for it to matter. My name is Nathan Roper. I'm not missing. I went under on purpose with documents. I'm going to tell you one thing tonight, because one thing is all that's safe to send. What's happening to your town is not an accident. You are the third town this has come to, and I can prove the first two. I can't reach you the way I want to tonight. The people who did this are listening to the same airwaves you are, so I'm not going to say it out loud. I've sent one word to your newsroom instead, encrypted, straight to the terminal on the desk. The man sitting there will know it the moment he sees it. Hold on to it for me, and I'll come back and explain it when I can. I'll find you again. Stay on the air.
It just came up on the terminal at the desk. From a man the country buried, the town's doctor is dead. Its mayor just set the phone down, and a man they tried to erase is telling me this is the third time. If you can hear me, get to high ground and hold on. We'll be here.
No music tonight. No hello, how are you? I've got the documents. They came an hour ago off a thumb drive in a padded envelope with no return address, and I have been reading them with the door locked ever since. Everything I've been saying for 2 years, it's here. It's worse than I said. You remember the mailbox in Virginia? The one both dead companies shared. Tonight I can tell you what was renting it. It's a program. It's got a name, and that name is at the top of every page in this stack. Project Lambda. I don't know who sent me this. No name, like I said, but whoever it was had access to things only a handful of people on Earth have ever laid eyes on, and whoever it was is taking the same risk I'm about to find out I took. So whoever you are, thank you. You made an honest man out of a guy everybody called a crank. I'm going to read you one line, exactly as it's written. Here, Field Test 1, Badger Creek, outcome nominal, sterilization authorized. Field Test 2, Iron Hold, outcome nominal. You understand what I'm telling you? Those weren't towns to them. Those were tests, and they put numbers on them. Aperture, Black Mesa. The drug companies you were told did this. Their costumes the government put on a weapons program so that when a town dies, there's a company to go bankrupt and somebody to blame who isn't them. 2 years they called me crazy for saying it. I've got it on letterhead now. There's a list of names in here, too. The ones who run it, the general, the director at some office inside the Pentagon nobody's allowed to name, and 3 executives supposedly bankrupt, supposedly gone. Morrison, Harper, Sebastian, write those names down. The world thinks they vanished to escape justice. The truth is they vanished to keep working, and the paychecks never stopped. And here's tonight, Pointe-Au-Loup, Field Test 3. It's in this stack, future tense, dated before the summit ever opened. They knew that hopeful little peace conference was the cover for a test they'd already put on a calendar. The president's son walked into a date somebody set months ago, and I finally understand why it's her son. After Ironhold, the president turned on this program. She tried to shut it down, choke its money, drag it into the daylight. It's in here. Her own people warning the others she was getting close, so they took her boy. The cult didn't choose him. The program handed him over and called it a kidnapping. That is the message. You can sit in the Oval Office, and these people will still take your child off a stage in front of the world and dare you to do something about it. There's a page in here listing 4 other sites, other countries, other towns already gone that nobody ever reported. This goes way past us. It's a network. It's international. And the same handful of executives are running between all of them under new names every single time. So to anybody still alive in Pointe-Au-Loup tonight, and to everybody in the next town they've already got a date for, hear me. The kidnapping is theater. The sickness is the point. And when the soldiers come, do not run to them. They come to erase the evidence, same as the last 2 times, and your town is the evidence. Get out before the cordon closes. Hold on. My perimeter alarm just tripped. The back fence, the one nobody knows I wired. I'm pulling up the lot camera right now. There are men out there, 4 of them, black gear, no patches, moving like a team that's done this before. That is not the police. They found me. Okay. Fast, while I've still got the air. Project Lambda, Defense Department, black budget, decades old. The drug companies are shells. The outbreaks are field tests. Badger Creek, Ironhold, Pointe-Au-Loup, and 4 more overseas. Morrison, Harper, Sebastian are alive and running it. They took the president's son because she tried to end it. Rebecca, you have all of it. Finish it for me. You're too late. It's already out. I sent it to 5 countries an hour ago. People, remember the name. Remember Lambda. Remember they did this on purpose.
Sir, the target has been neutralized.
I left the ridge at dusk and went down into it. Jill was ahead of me somewhere, in the mine already, and the deal was I'd follow. I came down through the same streets I'd watched on a television a day and a half before. The banners were still up. A vendor's wagon was tipped over. Paper flags frozen to the road. And the streets were not empty. The buildings were fine. Half the porch lights were still on. The people were still there, too. They were standing in the yards in the black doorways, not moving, humming one low note together. A board creaked under my boot, and every head on the street turned at once. I had to wade through them slow after that, making no sound any of them would want. Jill had told me what the town had become, and I'd told her it was shock. I owed her an apology I might not get to make, because the people were still there, standing in their own yards, in their own doorways. Not hiding, not fighting, just standing, all facing the same way, humming. I held. I didn't go to any of them. But then I saw a child in among them, small, standing with the grown ones, humming the same note, nobody behind the eyes. It put me down on my knees in the snow before I knew I'd moved. I got up. I kept walking. I understood something then that I hadn't the day before. They come at you, sure. And I could fight that all night. The worst thing is that they keep the face, the walk, the voice. For 1 second you look at one of them and your whole body insists that's still your neighbor in there, that you could call them back. You can't. Jill was right. She's always right. I just needed it to happen to me. By the time I reached the mine fence, the night was all the way down. Floodlights, wire, a gate that should have had a guard on it and didn't. Jill's voice was in my ear, telling me where the gap was. I went in after my sister.
We've gone to emergency broadcasting. That means I'm going to stop pretending this is a newscast and tell you only what keeps you alive or what's true. It's the third night. I've got a man on the phone who called the number that Roper left us. He says he can explain what's killing this town. I'm going to let him, while we still have the power to carry it. Sir, you reached us. The town's listening. What's left of it? Tell them what you know. Take the time you need, but know we may lose the lights without warning.
Thank you. Well, and I'm sorry it took me this long to say it out loud. Start with the plant. There's a flower that grows in the cold up there, deep in the old drifts of that mine, that the people who worship it call the White Orchard. It's older than any of us, and it carries a parasite. That parasite is the thing in your streets tonight. It gets into a living person through a bite, and then it takes its time. There are 3 stages to it, and your town has walked through all of them since the first night. First comes the bite and the fever, and people who turn vicious and won't stay down unless you destroy the brain. That's the part the world keeps calling a virus. It was always this. Then it hollows them out and drives the body, so the taken move as one thing and hum the same low note. And they keep the body whole, the face, the voice. A taken man will say your own name back to you in the dark, flat and wrong, and you will know the voice, and there is no body home. Don't go to it. And when a host finally falls, the parasite doesn't fall with it. It tears its way out through the skull, still alive, and you put that down too. That's the bloom. That's what the flower is for. Now the part that makes it a crime and not a tragedy. For 30 years, a program inside our own Defense Department has been trying to make a weapon out of that parasite. They couldn't. Nature beat them, and it's still beating them. So they made cruder things instead. The sickness that took Badger Creek, the one that took Iron Hold. Each time they failed to copy the flower, they tried what they had on a town and called the failure an accident. People asked why they couldn't just synthesize it in the laboratory. They tried for 30 years. The parasite needs a living host and a slow colonization the host does not survive. And that appears to be something they could never reproduce on a bench. So they kept building cruder approximations of it. Each one came out faster and more destructive than the thing in the ground. Badger Creek was one approximation. Iron Hold was a worse one. And every failed version cost a town, while the original kept growing quietly up here.
Sam, I'm inside. The main drifts, and I have to whisper, so listen close. There's a cavern down here they've strung with grow lights, acres of it, and it's full of the flower. White, all of it. It's beautiful. That's the obscene part. They built a cathedral for it out of a copper mine. There are people tending it. The cult, they move between the rows with watering cans, Sam, and they don't speak. They hum, all of them, the same low note, and the flowers lean toward the sound. And now I know where the flowers come from. They've laid a man out at the end of the row, still breathing, and something under his scalp is moving. Oh, God, it just came through the front of his skull, wet and white, and feeling at the air, and the cult is singing to it. That's the flower. That's what they grow down here. I have to move.
The people tending it are the Zen Combine. 30 years ago, the program sent a man up there to bring the flower home. His name was an asset number then. He went up, and he didn't come back. He decided the flower was holy. He built a religion around it, and the program let him keep it. A cult in the woods made a very convenient place to grow a thing the government was not allowed to grow itself. That's the piece I want on the record tonight. They pretend that man is a rogue actor in the woods. The paperwork tells a different story. He's been on first-name terms with their generals for years. He's their gardener, and they have always known exactly what he was growing. Badger Creek, Iron Hold, your town. The failed copies did the killing, but the flower is what they've wanted the whole time.
Sam, there's a door at the far end with 2 guards on it. The weight, arms, human, whatever's behind it, I bet my life it's the reason the president's son came to this town to die. I'm going to find a way around it. Hold your position until I call.
Doctor, I have to stop you for a second. We just lost the east half of town's power, and I can hear them in the street outside our plywood now. I don't know how much longer we broadcast, but I want the people listening to understand what you just told them. Everyone they've lost died inside a thing the government has known about for 30 years. Did I get that right?
You got it exactly right, and I'll carry it the rest of my life, because I sat in those briefings before I ran. Every name on your casualty list is on a ledger somewhere, marked acceptable. That's why I'm still alive and still talking. Somebody has to be able to say these were people, not line items. Your town is going to need a witness, and I'm going to be it.
Then stay alive, doctor, and stay by that phone. We'll carry you as long as we've got current. To this town, if you're still out there in the dark, you heard it the same as I did. This was done to us, and it was done before. Get to high ground. Keep this radio on while it still has a voice.
This is the Valentine Files, and before I do anything else, I have to tell you that my friend is gone. Roger Thornhill went off the air mid-sentence last night in the middle of the biggest broadcast of his life. He hasn't been heard from since. If you heard the end of it, you heard him read a camera feed, armed men crossing his lot, no badges, no warning, then nothing. They sent a team for a man with a microphone because the microphone was working, and everything he said was true. The last thing Roger did before they reached him was send me everything, the whole file. He told his audience to find me and finish it. So that's what tonight is. I'm going to lay it out the careful way with the documents in front of me, the way he didn't always have time to. Roger got us this far on guts and a microphone. The rest of it is going to take paper, and I have the paper now. The program is called Project Lambda. It's a black budget operation inside the Department of Defense, run out of an office most of Congress has never heard of. It's decades old. Its purpose, in plain words, is to turn a naturally occurring parasite into a weapon. Everything else, the companies, the outbreaks, the cover stories, hangs off that one sentence. The companies first, Aperture Pharmaceuticals, Black Mesa, 3 more I can now name that haven't had their turn yet. Monarch, Tricell, Wesker Biotech. Every one of them is a federal shell, staffed by people on government contracts, built to take the blame and dissolve when a test goes loud. None of them ever sold a real product to a real patient. The incorporation papers trace to the same few holding companies, exactly as Roger said. Now connect the towns. Badger Creek was field test 1. 30,000 people. A nuclear strike dressed up as a chemical accident. Iron Hold was field test 2. 10,000 people. A blockade and a demolished bridge dressed up as a quarantine. Pointe-Au-Loup is field test 3, happening as I speak. And the sterilization order, I'm told, is already being drafted. And it doesn't stop at our border. In Roger's file, there are 4 more sites. In other countries, towns already gone that never made the news. This is a network, and the United States is only its loudest arm. I'll have more on that when I verified it myself. Tonight, I want to stay with the part I can prove. The mine outside that town belongs to a cult called the Zen Combine. Its leader calls himself a prophet. His name is Wallace Breen. 30 years ago, he was a federal asset, sent to retrieve the parasite, and he never came back. He decided it was holy. He's been cultivating it ever since, with the government's quiet blessing, because an obsessed true believer in a mine is the cheapest research lab they ever funded. There's an enforcer, too. This one is harder for me, because I knew his name from Ironhold, where he was reported killed, Carlos Burnside. The report said he died on that island. The documents say otherwise. He was pulled out alive, handed to the cult, and whatever came out the other side is something the files only refer to by a tier. He's the one they send when the prophet wants someone taken. I think he's why the president's son is in that mine. And here is the motive, which I did not have until tonight. After Ironhold, the president moved to shut this program down. Her own security staff put it in writing, warnings that she was getting too close. The answer was Pointe-Au-Loup, and the answer was her son. The cult did not pick Barrett Jackson. The program walked him onto that stage and handed him to Breen and dressed it up as a kidnapping. This is a program telling a sitting president that she cannot touch it. Put it all together. A government that built a weapons program it couldn't control, farmed the real work out to a cult it pretends to disown, and has spent 2 years erasing the evidence one town at a time. That's not a theory anymore. I'm holding the paper. When this is over, that paper ends careers, and if there's any justice left in the building, it ends in handcuffs. I'm going to keep recording through the night, and I'm going to keep his name on this show until somebody makes me stop. Roger Thornhill spent 2 years being laughed at for telling the truth, and he went quiet the day it stopped being funny. So this one's yours, Roger. I've got the file. I'm going to finish it. That's the show.
I found him, Barrett Jackson. He was alive, in a side chamber they'd made into something between a hospital room and a chapel. They had him on a cot, and there was a man in robes sitting beside him, just talking to him, low and patient, hour after hour. He was already changing. I listened from the dark for 10 minutes. He was answering the robed man, and his voice, Sam, his voice kept slipping. Mid-sentence it stopped being his and became somebody else's, and then he'd catch it, and it was his again. That's how it starts. There was no torture in that room. There was a gardener, and the president's son was the seed. I got into their records while the guards were at prayer. The cult kept files like a government office. There was correspondence going back 8 years, letters between the prophet down there and a general up the chain. They'd been talking the whole time. The rogue cult in the woods had the federal program's home number, and I found the thing I'd come there for. Carlos, you know the story from Ironhold. The security man who found me lost in the lower levels and got me most of the way to the surface and held the tunnels behind me so I could run. He took a bite doing it. I never knew which way the island took him after that, the blast I set or the turn, and I left him for dead either way. But the cult kept a file. After the blockade, they sent people back onto Ironhold, recovered what was left of him, and the thing in the mine grew the rest. Whatever walks the lower gallery now wearing his face, they built on purpose. Remember that. So I had to ask my brother something, and I hated it, and I asked it anyway. I could get Barrett out, but only if the enforcer was somewhere else when I moved. Carlos walked the lower gallery on the half hour. That's where Sam would find him. I needed Sam to be the somewhere else. I needed him to take Carlos off the board. He'd come all that way to give that man a clean end, and I was about to make him do it on my schedule, for my reasons. With the president's son as the stakes, I'm sorry. There was no version of that night where I wasn't. I left the channel open. Whatever happened down there, I'd be listening, and I told him to go. There's one more thing I need on the record, in case tonight is where I stop, because it's bigger than this town. Carlos was a loose thread, and when I pulled it, Ironhold came up with it. Everyone believed they sealed that island to bury what got loose there. They sealed it to keep it. Before the bridge ever came down, the program shipped live samples off Ironhold. The strain that emptied Badger Creek, the one that emptied Ironhold, and the mold that came up beside it, all three crated and gone while the cameras sold the world a quarantine. And it's worse than stolen samples. The 9,000 they walled off on Ironhold a year ago are still alive in there, still standing, still carrying it. A whole island of the infected, sealed up and called a quarantine, and the program has known all along. There's a folder on it with a name across the top, Project Ishimura. It's a plan to open that blockade from the inside, step by step, and walk Ironhold off the island. On purpose. I don't know when. I just know it's written down and somebody means to do it. Whatever happens to me tonight, you make sure that name gets out. Project Ishimura.
It's the third day, and I've lost track of the hour. 20 minutes ago, something cut into our signal. Not the government, not the Americans. Them, the people in the mine. They've been silent this whole time, and now they want to be heard. I've decided you should hear it the way it reached us. Judge it for yourself.
Good evening, Pointe-Au-Loup. You don't know me, though I've lived 4 miles from your church. They call me a great many things. My children call me father. You might call me the neighbor you never came to visit. I want to thank you for your fear, for your grief, for all the noise you've been making into the dark. The garden has been listening, and the garden is grateful. A sickness, you call it. I call it a mercy. All your life you've been alone inside your own skull. Every one of you, shouting across a gap at people you can never quite reach. The garden closes the gap. It lifts the lonely noise out of a person and joins them to one quiet body. What you grieve over is death. I have given my whole life to as a wedding. I'm not a cruel man, whatever you've been told. So here is my one request, and I make it to the government's listening, not to the town. You sent us a gift without knowing it. The president's son walked through our door. Call off your soldiers, lift your cordon, let the garden grow, and I'll let what remains of your town walk out the north road alive. Burn us, and he goes into the ground with us, joined and singing. He'd like to say a word to his mother. He's quite peaceful now. We've been talking 2 days, and he's begun to understand.
Mom, it's me. It's me. I'm not hurt. They haven't hurt me. I want you to know that. The man here has been kind, and I've been thinking about a lot of things, about how loud it always was out there. I think I'm going to be okay. I think we all are.
I'm going to stop the tape there. I've got Dr. Roper back on the phone. Doctor, the whole continent just heard that. Who is that man?
His name is Wallace Breen. 30 years ago, he had a federal asset designation instead of a name. The program sent him to that mine, and he never came home. Everything you just heard, the garden, the one quiet body, that's 30 years of a man alone with the parasite, talking himself into loving it. But listen to me, don't get lost in his theology. The thing that should frighten you is smaller and quieter than that. That man has been in steady contact with a government that pretends to hunt him for 8 years, and I can prove it. Letters between Breen and a general named in the Lambda command chain. They call him an asset gone native, and they keep his number in their phones. Everything converged on your town for a reason. The cult grows the thing. The program protects the cult, and the towns, your town, pay for the arrangement. You're inside the last gear of it tonight.
We have lost contact with Mia Baker. Her last transmission came in several hours ago from the North Road. She reported a group of infected moving together, and she was following them on foot. That was the last we heard. When her feed came back briefly 20 minutes ago, her voice was among them. I keep turning that man's offer over in my head. Lift the cordon, let his garden grow, and he hands back what's left of us alive. The tired part of me wanted to say, take it. Then I remembered he's the reason there's so little left to hand back. You don't haggle with the fire over the ashes it already made. There's nothing left to take. I don't have a clean way to end this. The president's son is becoming one of them on a cot underground, and the people who could have stopped it have known the gardener by name for years. If you're out there, stay off the streets and keep someone close. This is Ethan Ashcroft, Channel 7.
I don't have my notes tonight, and the church is dark, so I'll speak from memory and trust the Lord to cover the gaps. There's a psalm every one of you knows. The Lord is my shepherd. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. That valley isn't a picture in a book tonight. We're standing in it. And the line that saves us is the last one. You are with me. I heard the man from the mine, same as you did. He has a gentle voice, and he used it to tell you 3 lies. He says the sickness is a mercy. He calls the thing in the mine a wedding. And he told you the gap between you and the soul beside you is a wound only he can close. I have to answer him. I won't answer with myself, though. I'll answer with the Lord, who settled every one of those lies a long time ago. He wants to melt you down into one quiet body. Hear me, because Scripture does speak of one body, and it's nothing like his. Paul wrote that we are the body of Christ, and each one of us is a part of it. In that body, the eye can't say to the hand, I don't need you. No one is silenced there. You're joined, and you're still wholly yourself, named and loved and needed. His garden swallows you. The body of Christ makes room for you. And he calls death a wedding. Let me tell you what God thinks of death. When Jesus came to the grave of his friend Lazarus, he didn't call it a mercy. The shortest line in all of Scripture is 2 words. Jesus wept. God stood at the mouth of a tomb and cried like a man who'd lost somebody. And then he said, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me will live, even though he dies. And he called the dead man out of the ground by name. So I'll do the thing that man wants least. I'll say their names, as souls the Lord knows, not as noise to be quieted. Forrest Spire, who stayed in his hospital when he could have run. Annette Moreau, who stayed in her hall. The Pelletier grandfather, who met strangers at his door with a smile. Jesus said there's no greater love than to lay your life down for your friends. These 3 did just that. They aren't lost. They're held. And there's a young woman I never met, Mia Baker. I knew her the way you did. A voice on the radio telling us the truth from out in the cold. I heard her slip away tonight, on the air, with the borrowed voices crowding out her own. So I'll pray for her by name and trust her to the one shepherd who can follow her where she's gone. He walked into death before her. He knows the way back out. Now, the most important thing, and I may not get another chance to say it, the man in the mine is calling you into the dark. I'm calling you somewhere else. I'm calling you to Jesus. He's saying to you tonight, come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, and I'll give you rest. Wherever you are, on the North Road or hidden in a cellar, you can call on his name this minute. You don't need the lights on or a priest or the right words. You need the shepherd, and he's already down here in the valley with you. So hold on to him, whatever this night brings. I believe with everything left in me that nothing can separate you from the love of God in Christ. Not the mine, not the fire they're bringing, not even death itself. Let us pray. Lord, you are the good shepherd, and these are your sheep. Gather Forrest and Annette and Mia and every soul this town has lost, and lose not one of them. And for the living, be the rest you promised. We're coming to you now. Amen.
By then I was deep in the lower galleries, down where the rock sweats and the lights are strung on a wire that hums. Jill was somewhere above me, going for Barrett, and I could hear her breathing on the open channel. Quick and even, she was working. I wouldn't say a word that broke it. Carlos walked that level on the half hour. I had about 6 minutes. I'd never met the man, not once. But when Ironhold went under, and my sister was loose in those lower levels with no way up, Carlos found her and got her most of the way to the surface. Facility security. He took a bite holding the tunnel so she could run, and he never came up himself. He didn't have to do a thing, and he did. So I owed him, or my family did. He gave me my sister back, and he never once knew my name. I'd carried that 1,000 miles north, meaning to find the man and shake his hand. And then Jill told me he never made it off that island. And the cult went in after the blockade and dug him out and grew something else inside his skin. I don't know what was coming around that corner. Maybe there was enough of the man left to understand what I was doing. Maybe there was nothing left but the thing wearing him. Either way, I'd made a promise to myself on the drive up. The man who got my sister out of that place was not going to end his days as somebody's puppet, so I'd give him a clean end, whether he ever knew my name or not. Jill had him moving by then. I told her not to wait on me, to get Barrett up and not look back, whatever came over the channel. I told her I loved her. Then I put the radio in my pocket and went to do the thing I'd promised. You already know how it came out.
It's just before dawn on the third day since this all started. I came here 3 days ago to cover a ribbon cutting. I'm still here, inside the line with all of you. The governments have made a decision about us. I'll let the man who made it say it in his own words. This is the Canadian Minister of National Defense, Spencer Lennox, from Ottawa, just minutes ago.
My fellow Canadians, at 2200 hours, on the advice of our medical and military command, I authorized a containment operation in the community of Pointe-Au-Loup. The operation is called Operation Boreal Curtain. Canadian Armed Forces have established a hard perimeter at a radius of 6 miles. As of first light, nothing crosses that line outward. Nothing. I'll be direct, because the people of that town have earned directness. The biological agent present cannot be contained by any means we have, save one. At a time set by command, the area inside the perimeter will be sterilized from the air. This is the gravest order a Canadian government has ever given on its own soil. I gave it so that this does not become every town. I have nothing further tonight that would help you. That is the order. One corridor will remain open, the North Road, until 0500. Any person who reaches the checkpoint on foot will be received, screened, and treated. After 0500, the corridor closes, and it does not reopen. I will not dress that up for you. If you can walk, walk now. If you are waiting for a better option, there is no better option coming.
There it is. Sterilize means they're going to burn the town with whatever and whoever is still inside it to stop the sickness from spreading. It's what they did to Badger Creek with a bomb. It's what they did to Ironhold with a bridge and a blockade. It's our turn now. We have until 5 o'clock on the North Road. Dr. Roper's still with us. Doctor, you said you'd be our witness. Witness this.
I warned you this was coming, and I hate that I was right. This is the third verse of the same hymn. The thing gets loose, the town can't be saved, and the cleanup doubles as the cover-up. The fire kills the infected, yes. It also burns the evidence that any of this was ever made on purpose. That part is no accident. When it's done, the official story will be a tragic natural outbreak, bravely contained. Remember, it was a decision. And hear this, because it matters for what comes after. They'll tell you no one could have known. The documents in my hands have your town's name on a schedule dated before the summit was ever announced. They knew. They always knew. I'm going to live long enough to put that in front of a committee if it's the last useful thing I ever do. There's one thing the people in that town can still do for the rest of us. Be witnesses. Say what you saw out loud into any device that records and get it past that perimeter however you can. They can burn a valley. They found it harder lately to burn a recording that's already left the county. The fire ends the test. It does not have to end the truth about it.
Sam, I've got him. I've got Barrett. He's on his feet. He's confused, but he's walking. We're in the access stair, heading for the surface. Did you hear the broadcast? 5 o'clock in the North Road. We are inside the thing they're about to set on fire, so whatever you're doing, move.
I hear you. I'm in position. Get him up and out. Jill, make for the North Road. It's the one they'd leave open. And I think for once he wasn't lying. I've got my own thing to finish down here. Don't wait on me. I mean it.
I'm patching every live channel I can onto this signal, so you hear what I hear. And I have to take back something I've been telling you for 2 days. I kept saying the ones in the street just stand there. They did. They filled the yards and hummed and let people walk right past. I'm at the tower window now, and that's over. A man just ran from a doorway on Rue Principale for the North Road. The nearest of them turned at the sound of his boots and went after him, not staggering, running. 4 of them brought him down in the snow together, and he didn't get up. Constable Cohen is out in that right now. David, it's Ethan. Tell me what you're seeing.
Ethan, I hear you, but I can't stop. Rue de Pans, 12 people, and we're moving. You're right. They hunt now. Anything that runs, anything that makes a sound, a few break off the rest and come. They had the LeBlanc boy by the coat, 6 years old. The soldier on the wire shot the one that had him, through the head, the way you're supposed to. And, God, I don't. Something came out of the hole in its skull, still moving. Out of the head, Ethan, and it was screaming. And we shot that too. You don't kill them once. You kill them, and then you kill what's inside them. I've got to get these people off this street. Cohen out.
David, his line's gone. That thing he watched come out of the skull, Dr. Roper gave it a name an hour ago, and I didn't have the stomach to repeat it until now. The bloom, so you know what's loose out there. The taken hunt, the ones who run, and the dead ones bloom when you put them down. One last thing before we go. They keep their faces, and they keep their voices. Some of them will say your name in the flat, emptied voice of a neighbor you grew up with. You'll know the voice. The neighbor's already gone. Don't answer. Walk the road. I'm going to stay on this air until the air goes. Somebody has to be the voice that tells the truth while there's still a town to tell it to. The mayor asked me to take care of this town's voice. I figure that means I don't get to leave it. So I'll be here, reading you the road out in the time we've got left, for as long as the good Lord and the hydro lines allow. Hold on, Pointe-Au-Loup. It's past midnight here, and we have the President of the United States about to address the nation for the 3rd time since this began. In the last hour, Canadian Armed Forces received authorization for a joint operation called Boreal Curtain. We don't have the full scope of that order yet, but the military traffic on the northern frequencies has tripled since 9 o'clock. We're told it's a containment operation. Her son is still inside the containment area. Here is President Marlene Jackson.
My fellow Americans, tonight at 11:40 p.m. Eastern Time, I signed a joint authorization with the Prime Minister of Canada for a military containment operation in and around the town of Pointe-Au-Loup, Quebec. The operation is designated Boreal Curtain. Its purpose is to contain the biological threat inside that town and prevent it from spreading to the surrounding region. I understand what the word containment means to the families listening tonight, and I would not use it if there were a gentler word that told the truth. The biological threat inside that perimeter has not responded to the measures we put in place over the past 3 days. Our medical advisors, our military advisors, and the Canadian Command have all told me, in terms I cannot set aside, that the window for a controlled response is closing. I weighed every hour I could buy, and I signed it. There are people still alive inside that town, and every one of them is the reason the evacuation corridors remain open. The northern and eastern roads are being held by Canadian and American ground forces. Civilians are being guided out as I speak. I have been assured that the operation will not begin until every corridor has been closed and every exit accounted for. I am holding them to that. Among those still inside that perimeter is my son, Barrett. I have asked to speak with him, and I have been told that communications in his area are down. I asked for more time, and I was told the threat does not allow it. So I am standing here authorizing an operation that my own son is on the wrong side of, and I need you to know that I know that. I have been given information throughout this crisis by people I chose to trust. I acted on it. I spoke to you based on it. There are questions I should have asked sooner, and when this is over, I will answer for every one of them. But tonight, the only decision in front of me is whether the people advising me are right, that this saves the most lives, and I have chosen to believe they are, because I have to. To the people of Canada, and to every family waiting for a phone call tonight, this is the hardest decision I have ever signed. I'm told this is the only way to stop what is happening from reaching your towns and your families. Pray for the people still inside that perimeter. Pray for the men and women trying to bring them home. God bless Canada, and God bless the United States of America.
That was President Marlene Jackson, her third address since this began. She said something tonight I've not heard from her before. She used the words, "I have to believe." The first address, she promised she'd stand before us again with answers. The second, she said she could confirm. Tonight she said, "I'm told," and she asked you to pray. We'll have more from the ground as the corridors close. This is Channel 7.
I've had a few days now to put that last night in order. I'll record it before it blurs. Two things came due in the same 10 minutes, and they pulled in opposite directions. One was the man who I had to get out of that mine. The other was my brother. Alone in the dark at the bottom of it, I could only go to one of them. The man was the president's son, though that mattered less to me than you'd think by the end. He was confused, half turned around from days underground, and he kept slowing to listen to the walls. My whole job was keeping his eyes on my back and his feet moving toward cold air. 40 feet of stairs stood between us and the surface, and a clock I couldn't argue with. The whole way up, I had Sam's channel open in my ear. I heard it go quiet down there. Then a voice came up, that channel that I knew. Not a stranger's. Carlos, the man who got me off Ironhold alive. The one we'd buried in our heads a year ago, saying my brother's name out of the dark like no time had passed. I knew that voice. Flat now, and a half-beat slow, like the man had been scooped out of it and something else was working the mouth. I kept climbing. That's the part I'll answer for, the rest of my life. I had Barrett by the collar, who would have walked straight back down into it if I let go, and a corridor that closed at 5 whether I made it or not. So I left my own brother at the bottom of a mine with that voice, and I carried a stranger's son up to the light instead. What happened down there after, you'll hear from the broadcast, and from Sam. This was the part that was mine. The price of it was his.
This is Ethan Ashcroft, and I am not at a desk tonight. I'm on the North Road on foot with a transmitter on my back and about a dozen of this town's people walking for the Army checkpoint before it closes at 5. Constable David Cohen is up front, leading us out. The Army is burning this town and leaving the mine that made all of this standing 4 miles south, lit and guarded. Remember that part. Now I am going to do the last useful thing I know how to do. I'm leaving this signal open, and I'm going to stop narrating it. A record doesn't need a voice on top of it. It just needs to be running. So whatever you hear on this channel from here, it was real, and it happened. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, Ethan. I'm here. I'm walking. We're on the North Road past the old feed store, getting close to the checkpoint. I've got 14 with us. The Dufour family, old Mr. Bergeron, the Marchand twins, and a couple of kids whose parents I haven't found. And I'm not going to tell them that yet. We're on foot because the road is one long parking lot. Cars left running, doors open, nobody in them. It's bitter cold out here, and we're slow. Half of them are little kids or seniors, but we're moving. Ethan, you need to know what it took to get this far. The side streets back there are full of them. The taken just standing in the yards, humming that one note. But you make a sound near them and they come fast, all at once. We hit a wall of them at the church corner, and there was no other way down to the road. Me and the 2 Bergeron boys had our deer rifles. We put 5 of them down to clear a path. 5 of our own people. One of them was Gilbert Pelletier. I've known Gil 30 years. I shot him in the street so the kids could get by. And that's all I've got to say about Gil right now. I have to keep these people moving. And the thing the radio's been warning about? The heads. It's real, Ethan. I've seen it up close now. 2 of the 5 we put down at the corner, after they were on the ground, something came up out of the skull, out of the back of the head. And it was still moving. It kept moving after the man was dead. So we had to shoot it again, the thing on its own, just to make it stop. The little ones were right there. I tried to turn them away and I wasn't fast enough. We're moving again, and I'm up front. Mr. Bergeron's got the back with a flashlight, counting heads so we don't lose anybody in the dark. The twins are right behind me. They haven't made a sound since their own street. Hang on. Hang on, everybody, slow down. There's one in the ditch off to the right, pacing us. Just the one. It's not coming up onto the road. It's just keeping level with us, listening. Nobody run. You run. It calls the rest of them. Walk, eyes front. Walk. Okay. It's falling behind. We're past it. Up ahead, I can see floodlights. That's the checkpoint. That's the line. We're coming up on them now. Oh, thank God, Ethan. There's soldiers. Real ones. Canadian. Lights, barriers, a tent. One of them's out front of the wire, waving us in. Slow, he says. One group, hands open, walk to the lit area. We're doing it. Folks, just like he says, hands where they can see them. Nice and easy. He says they run everybody through the tent, one at a time. Some kind of medical check. And then we're through to the buses on the far side. That's all we have to do. We're going to make it. We're at the tent. They took the Dufour kids through first, and they're already out the other side. Somebody's got a blanket on them. It's working, Ethan. It is actually working. They've got a handheld scanner, reading foreheads. Quick, one and done. Most of us just walk straight through. Madeline Karen steps up. She's 19. She's flushed, shaky, and I figured she was just cold like the rest of us. The soldier runs the scanner, then he runs it again. He's not waving her through. He's keying his radio, and he's stepping back. Ethan, they're all stepping back from her now. Every one of them. They're bringing their rifles up. All of them. Not just on her. On all of us. No, listen to me. She's one girl. She's one sick kid. Everybody else passed your check.
Wait.
The children passed. They're standing right behind you. Don't.
You do
Son,
this.
look
These
at me.
are children.
Put it down.
Stop.
These are good
For
people.
God's sake,
They did
stop.
every single thing you asked them to.
No.
This is the Valentine Files. This is the last episode I'll record from this location because as of 6 hours ago, the town of Pointe-Au-Loup, Quebec, no longer exists. Operation Boreal Curtain, the joint Canadian-American military operation the president authorized at midnight, burned 5 square miles of forest, mine, and town. The official death count stands at 3,800. The actual number will take months to calculate because the people who could have counted the missing were still inside when the order was carried out. The dead first, Dr. Forrest Spire, the town's physician, who stayed behind when the military pulled out and kept treating patients until his clinic was overrun. Mayor Annette Moreau of Pointe-Au-Loup, who refused 3 separate evacuation orders because she wouldn't leave without her constituents. Mia Baker, a Canadian paramedic who joined the relief effort as a volunteer and was lost on the North Road. And Roger Thornhill, who spent 2 years telling you the truth about what your government was doing in small towns and who went silent the night armed men crossed his property. 2 people are alive tonight because they walked into that mine when the governments of 2 countries wouldn't. Sam Spade and Jill Spade. If you've been listening to this show, you know the name Spade from Badger Creek and from Ironhold. They were there for both. They were inside Pointe-Au-Loup when it fell, and they went underground to bring the president's son home because nobody wearing a uniform was going to. Barrett Jackson is alive. Jill Spade brought him out of the Zen Combine mine, up through the lower galleries and out to the surface, while the Canadian military counted down the last minutes before Boreal Curtain. He was handed back to federal custody about 14 hours ago. The president has her son. The woman who brought him out doesn't want your thanks, and her brother doesn't want your questions. Sam Spade went into that mine for a different reason. Carlos Burnside, the man I told you about last time, the man they pulled off Ironhold and handed to the cult, was Sam's closest friend before they changed him. Sam found him at the bottom of that mine. He did what he went in to do, and he walked back out, and that's what the file record's about. Tonight, I'm publishing the complete Project Lambda file. Every document Roger Thornhill sent me, every piece I've verified since, and the material the Spades recovered from inside that mine. It's on the server, unredacted, and it's been sent to 4 congressional offices, 3 wire services, and the International Criminal Court at The Hague. The case is this. Project Lambda is a weapons program that has operated inside the United States government for over 30 years. It used federal shell corporations, the ones I named last time, to develop and test a weaponized biological agent derived from a naturally occurring parasite. Aperture, Black Mesa, Monarch, Tricell, Wesker. When the tests lost containment, and they always did, the program destroyed the evidence by destroying the town. Badger Creek, Ironhold, Pointe-Au-Loup, 3 towns over 2 years, 3 cover stories, and the same federal program behind every one of them. When the test goes wrong, the town goes away, and the records go with it. The file names the people who ran this program, our program directors, budget authorizers, and the military officers who planned each sterilization. Some of them are still in government today. Some of them briefed the president this week and told her Boreal Curtain was a containment operation, not a destruction order. Their names are in the file, and they lied to a sitting president about what they built. I've been asked twice in the last 6 hours to take this file down. The first request came through my attorney. The second came through a number I didn't recognize, and they didn't leave a name. The file is on 4 separate servers in 3 countries, and it's been downloaded 1,100 times since I posted it. It's out. That's done. When the hearings begin, and they will begin, every name in that file is going to answer for what happened to those 3 towns. The president is going to have to answer for what she signed. I don't believe she knew what Boreal Curtain was designed to do. The documents suggest she was lied to by people she appointed, and those people are named in the file. That is for Congress to sort out now, and for the courts after that. Roger Thornhill called it first. Dr. Forrest Spire confirmed it on the ground. Annette Moreau died defending a town that her own government had already decided to erase. Mia Baker was 26. She'd been a paramedic for 3 years, and she died on a road that should have been an evacuation route. The record carries their names now. This is the Valentine Files. The case is published. If you're in government and you're reading this, the documents have your signatures on them. If you're in the press, the file is free and it's waiting for you. For everyone else, share it before somebody figures out how to make it disappear.
3 days later, a motel 2 provinces away, the kind that takes cash and asks nothing. Jill's asleep in the next bed for the first time, and I don't know how long. I've been sitting up listening to her breathe, the way she listened to me on that channel. Even now, I want to make sure it keeps going. We finally did the reunion, the one we couldn't do on the ridge. It wasn't words. We sat on the floor of this room with our backs against the bed and didn't talk for about an hour, and that was it, and it was enough. 2 years. We're both still here. That's not nothing. That might be everything. There's one thing I'll put on this tape, and then I'm done with it for good. What happened down in the lower gallery with Carlos. I found him at the end of a tunnel, standing in the dark like he'd been waiting on me. The man who got my sister off Ironhold, who we swore was dead. He let me walk the whole length of that tunnel with my rifle up. When I got close, he said my name, once. A flat voice, hollowed out, that knew me and shouldn't have. He could have come at me, and he didn't. There was just enough of the man left in there to stand still and let me do it. I told him I was sorry for what they'd made of him. I told him I'd made him a promise on the way in, without once saying it out loud. A clean end. Then I gave it to him. 1 shot. And he didn't stay down. The back of his skull came open from the inside, and the thing that had been driving him pulled itself out on a pale stalk, the size of my fist, blind and reaching. I didn't waste a round on it. I put my boot through it until it stopped. That's the flower. That's the thing they grew in that mine and called a harvest. There's one piece I haven't decided whether I imagined. Right at the very end, after it was done, for half a second I'd swear I heard the man himself. Not the thing they made of him. Whoever Carlos used to be, surfacing up through all of it, in his own voice. And I think he said thank you. Maybe I needed to hear it badly enough that I built it out of nothing. We hand Barrett back tomorrow. There's a way to do it that keeps us out of it. A parking lot, a phone call, and then Sam and Jill Spade go back to not existing. The president gets her son. Nobody gets us. That's how we like it. That's how we stay alive for the next one. If there's a next one. And God help me, I think there's always a next one. Just when it goes quiet like this, I hear the calling. The whole town gone over to that one low hum, the way it climbed up out of the dark on Rue Principale. I'll be hearing it a long time, I think. Jill says you don't stop hearing it, you just make room. So that's what we do. We make room, and we keep going. We always do. One more thing, almost slipped my mind. Jill found something down in that mine. Wouldn't tell me the half of it. Some old project, Ishimura, she called it. And something about Ironhold, about opening it back up. That's a problem for tomorrow.
Good evening. I'm Leon Redfield, and this is a Channel 7 special report. Some of you will remember I sat at this desk a few weeks ago and told you 2 stories, 2 towns we lost, and a hopeful summit in a third. I closed that night, for the first time in years, on something like good news. I have to come back tonight and finish the sentence. There is no Pointe-Au-Loup anymore. The town of roughly 3,800, where the nations of this continent met to promise that no community would face disaster alone, was sterilized from the air 3 nights ago by Canadian forces. The official cause is a natural biological outbreak, tragically beyond containment. I'll report that official cause to you. And then, for the first time in my career, I'm going to tell you I don't believe it. In the hours before the town fell, a body of documents reached the press and the public. They've since been verified by reporters in 4 countries, including this one. They describe a federal program, decades old, called Project Lambda. I won't pretend to you tonight that I can disprove them. I've read them. They're consistent with everything we were told for 2 years was a coincidence. What we can report with confidence is this. Barrett Jackson, the president's son, is alive. He was recovered from the site by means the government has not explained, and he's under medical observation at a facility they won't name. A small number of townspeople reached the perimeter and lived. Most did not. The president will address the nation within the hour, and I'm told this one will be unlike the others. There is one thing I did not expect to do tonight. A man this network listed among the missing, a man I read a memorial for from this very desk weeks ago, is alive, and he's agreed to speak with us. Dr. Nathan Roper. Doctor, this country buried you. Why surface now?
Because the only reason to stay hidden was to live long enough to be useful. And that reason ended the night the documents went out. Hiding the man who carried them does nothing now. So I'm going to do the loud thing instead. I've been in contact with the Senate committee since this morning. I'll testify under my own name to all of it. They could subpoena me, but they won't have to. I'm volunteering.
You understand the risk in what you're describing. The people in those documents have, by your own account, killed to keep them quiet.
I understand it. I watched a town die 3 nights ago for a secret I might have helped expose a year sooner if I'd been braver. I'm finished being careful. There's a doctor, a mayor, a reporter, and a whole town who don't get to be careful anymore either. The least I can do is spend my name while I still have it to spend.
We're also learning tonight that the government of Canada has formally demanded accountability. The Prime Minister's office is calling for an international inquiry, and there's language coming out of Ottawa, war crimes language, that I've not heard one ally use about another in my lifetime. 2 officials named in the documents have been subpoenaed. As of this hour, both intend to invoke their right to silence. Inside our own government, the cracks are showing too. The Secretary of Defense has reportedly offered to resign. Sources tell us the president spent the last 3 days fighting her own agencies for documents they were under orders to preserve, and at times losing. A president at war with the building beneath her. I don't have a precedent to offer you for it, and I went looking for one. Before I send you to the president, I want to say their names, because the people who did this would rather you forget them. Dr. Forrest Spire, Mayor Annette Moreau, the reporter Mia Baker, who told the truth until it took her voice, the broadcaster Roger Thornhill, and Channel 7's own anchor, Ethan Ashcroft, who stayed on the air in a town that was never even his until the tower burned. Doctor, one last question, and then I'll let the country hear from its president. These documents you carried out, do they end with Pointe-Au-Loup?
No. They end with a list of places that haven't happened yet. Other towns, on this continent and on others, with dates beside them like appointments. That's why I'm going to testify, and why those 2 civilians have to be protected, and why you should keep saying these names on the air. Pointe-Au-Loup was the 3rd. It was never meant to be the last. The rest of us still get to decide whether it is.
3 towns now. I opened a broadcast a few weeks ago hoping I was done counting them. I was wrong, and I'd give a great deal to have been right. The story this country was told is coming apart tonight on the record, and I don't think anyone can put it back together the old way. We go now to the President of the United States. From all of us at Channel 7, stay with it. Don't look away. This is the president, live from the White House. Her advisors have told us this is the last address of her presidency. Here is Marlene Jackson.
My fellow Americans, 3 nights ago, a town in the Canadian North was sealed off and burned to contain something my own government helped to create. The people who tried to walk out of it were shot at the checkpoint by the soldiers sent to save them. My own son was inside that town. He is alive tonight only because 2 private citizens did what no government would. I am going to tell you the whole truth tonight. I want to be precise about what I knew. For months, I knew that something inside my own government was doing monstrous things in small towns and calling them accidents. I fought it. I gave lawful orders and demanded the records, and I was met with delay, half answers, and documents that turned out to be lies. They took my son to make me stop. I did not stop. In the last 3 days, I have finally gotten the truth they spent years keeping from this office. There is a program inside our own Department of Defense. It has run for decades behind companies that were never real, hidden from 3 presidents before me. It built the thing that emptied that town and 2 towns before it. It exists to own a weapon and to test that weapon on human beings who are never told it is being done to them. And when the fire came this week, the men who run it made sure it took the town and spared the laboratory. Tonight, I have directed the Attorney General to bring charges against the officers who ran this program, the officials who shielded it, and the executives who hid behind bankruptcy and a new name, and against anyone in my own administration who knew and stayed silent. I am referring their conduct under the laws that govern war crimes. There will be no immunity, and there will be no quiet deals. Every record this government holds on those towns will be declassified and put in the hands of the families. No one will bury their dead a second time. I want to speak about the people who were lost. I'm not going to say their names tonight. Their names belong to the people who loved them, but I will say what was done to them. Some were taken by the sickness. Some stayed at their posts, a doctor, a mayor, a reporter, and would not leave when leaving would have saved them. And some walked miles through the dark to a line we promised was safety, and were cut down at it, children among them, for standing too close to one sick girl. Those soldiers were enforcing a policy my own government backed. The responsibility for it runs straight up the chain, to this desk, to me, to the Prime Minister and the people of Canada. I have no words equal to what we brought onto your soil, so I will use plain ones. We are sorry. Your soldiers were forced into a terrible hour by a secret my country kept. I support a full international inquiry, with our officials testifying under oath and every one of our documents open to it. This office will not be a place anyone hides. Which brings me to the last thing I will say from this desk. For 3 days, I have asked myself whether I can stand at the head of a government that did this to its own neighbors and hid it from the office sworn to lead it. I cannot. So tonight, I am resigning the office of President of the United States, effective at noon tomorrow, when the Vice President will take the oath in my place. I will spend my last hours here signing the orders that lock these prosecutions in place so that they cannot be quietly undone once I am gone. I am sorry. It is not enough, and it never will be. But the truth is out now, and it cannot be buried again. May God keep the lost, and may God help the living. Good night.
That was President Marlene Jackson, resigning the presidency of the United States. A sitting president has stepped down only once before in our history, and never under a weight like this one. She spent her last night in the office taking responsibility for it, and then she handed it on. For all of us at Channel 7, I'm Leon Redfield. Good night.
This is Nathan Roper. 2 weeks ago, I gave a Senate committee everything I had. Under my own name, all of it was true, and all of it was already too late. The rescue of the president's son was the one move they had been waiting for all along. from the first day, they meant for him to be carried out of that mine alive. The president's son dead in the ground is a tragedy the world files away. The president's son carried out alive is a motorcade, and a motorcade goes everywhere a quarantine cannot. You remember the man from the mine. He stood on every frequency and demanded we lift the cordon, or his hostage would die. He wanted us to refuse him. He needed someone brave enough to go down into that dark and bring the president's son out, and the world is full of brave people. 2 of them are friends of mine. They brought him home, and it was the finest thing anyone did in that whole terrible week. Don't let a soul tell you they were fools. They were good. The men who built this were counting on exactly that. It's been 2 weeks now. The president's son is in Washington, under guard, under observation. The first case they confirmed was the agent who stood post outside his door. It's in the building now. The prophet in the mine calls it his garden, and he always swore it would be the whole world. The program that made him calls it a deployment. 2 names for 1 harvest, and after 30 years, they've finally agreed on a city to plant it in. I've been in contact with the 2 who carried him out. They're alive, they're hidden, and they are not finished. They mean to end this, whatever it costs them, and I believe they're the only people left who can. So remember their names when this is over. Remember mine, and listen now, because as I close this recording, the man from the mine has started to speak again. He isn't finished either. Here he is.
This is the gardener, to my children who are listening, and to the men in the bunkers who still believe they hold the leash. You burned my town. You spared my mine, because you still mean to use it, and that kind of hunger is the softest soil there is. You drew your blockade around Iron Hold and handed the world the illusion of safety, but I am the one who found the way through your line, and I drew up every step of it myself. Years ago, I gave it a name, Project Ishimura, and tonight, I open it. The curtain falls, and the 9,000 walk home along the black floor of the sea. Our time has come. The garden was never a single town. The garden is the world. Witness the beginning of the end.
It is done, Father. I am standing on the broken seawall as I say this. I can see them going down into the channel. The water takes them, and they do not slow, and they do not look up. 9,000, and not one of them is afraid. Let me be soil, Father. When they come back up onto this shore, let me be the first thing they reach for.
Command, this is Picket 4 on the North Iron Hold line. I need somebody senior on this channel right now. Our sonar just lit up across the whole channel floor. Hundreds of contacts. No, more than that. All of them moving off the island towards the mainland. Here on the bottom, command, on the seabed. They are walking 60 feet down in the black, walking to shore. My sonar man is just staring at his screen. He won't say the word out loud, neither will I. I've got some beach in the night scope. They're coming up out of the surf, walking up onto the sand, soaked, gray, in rows that don't break. They're already past the dunes, and there's nothing on that beach to stop them. No wire, no soldiers. Just the dunes and the lights of the town behind them, still lit like it's any other night. And there is thousands. I am watching thousands of dead people walk up out of the ocean, and there is no line left between them and the houses. Wait, something's on the hull. There's a black growth coming up over the rail, wet, spreading like it's alive. It's the mold. The Iron Hold mold is on my ship. It's climbing the superstructure. It's already at the deck lights, and it is moving fast. They cut her off our port side. She's 200 yards out, and she's already black to the waterline. The whole ship. In under a minute, their net is still open. I can hear her crew on it, screaming, and then not. It is coming across the water toward us now. It's on our deck, coming through the vents. Whoever is on this net, you listen to me. It is over out here. They came up out of the sea. The mold has 2 of the ships already. It is all happening at once. Do you understand me? All of it at once. I am calling a strike on Iron Hold. Everything you have. Burn the island. Burn the water. Burn this ship with me still on it. Do it now, before it walks 1 mile further in. Do you copy? Strike Iron Hold. It's through the hatch. It's on my hand. Oh God.